Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hi, welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Christine, who is coming all the way from Chicago, Illinois, and helping us understand what a completely different career looks like. So welcome, Christine. Thanks for coming here on a busy Friday. And yeah, without any delay, I want to open up the floor and let you introduce yourself.
Beautiful. I'm Christine Dziedzic. I'm the founder and CTO of missyoumuch.com, which was established in 2020. We rebranded business, Gone But Not Forgotten, that I opened up in 2002. So imagine, 2002, I had an internet and brick and mortar space for death care. I thought it was really important to remove people from the scene in this sense. So in the funeral industry, you go to the funeral home, you don't want to go back to the funeral home again. Once you've been there, that's usually enough. So that kind of, tipped me off in the early stages of the industry. Like, we need to help people beyond just selling them things that they need for a funeral service. And so aftercare wasn't really much of a thing. And so I created aftercare programs in the 90s, started walking programs and such in the cemetery. We took trips, we did things. And literally, if you could just imagine, I have a cemetery and we start a walking program with a bunch of people who have recently lost a loved one of some sort. And just by bringing that group together in a community, everybody started to lift. They were excited. They had somewhere to go because the empty house now, it might have been a spouse. And so all of a sudden, my employer's shaking their head. They're like, wow, we're spending, like a couple $1,000s a month in, treats and goodies. And I was under the radar for a really long time because my budget was met. So nobody was really questioning, until I started to get greedy and I started to ask for park benches and things in the cemetery that weren't, normally in our budget. And so fast forward to the pandemic, and now it's my time to shine. All this information that I got for, decades, and we weren't allowed to have full in-person funeral services.
Yeah,
So I got my crew together, and we were trying to get people off of unemployment to come back to work in the events industry. And that was, those paychecks were really big. We'll just say. And so a lot of people didn't want to come out. So we bought projectors and screens, and we started to have what was called drive-in memorials. So that's moved to a virtual space now, but in person, we were able to go ahead and still have a collaborative movie, have everybody pull into, a large parking lot and not touch each other. So that was the main thing, was that everybody needed to be socially distanced. So that went pretty well. And the metamorphosis, I took everything that I've touched and dealt with in the funeral industry over decades, and I started to move it into immersive spaces. So the main business that I have is missyoumuch.com. Missyoumuch.com now has 8 businesses under it.
Oh, wow.
And so what we're doing is taking bereavement support and making it into really neat things like AI. So I have an artificial intelligence, bereavemently.ai, which is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, guardrails, starting to have a heart, all the things we're worried about, it's coming to life and such. But that's part of the digital transformation that you should consider. Every single business right now has the possibility to be an immersive in virtual space, just the twin. So
Yeah.
here I am, and here I am.
Yeah.
So that's what we're working on these days.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is amazing. Is there like if somebody goes on the site, they can actually experience what does it
yeah,
feel?
so yeah, if you were able to just go to Miss U, the letter U, much.com.
Mm-hmm.
The site's been up there. We have about 400 collaborative partners
Mm-hmm.
within the site. First thing that you'll visit is bereavemently.ai, which
Mm-hmm.
is there for, companion. And the use cases for it are just amazing. So I just literally, this is the easiest way I can say it, because I'm the most layman of all laymans at this point. Didn't care for gaming, didn't care for any of these things until I started to realize that, wow, we're losing some ground, and people want to make arrangements online. People want to, to the tune of 74% would prefer to make an online funeral arrangement. They don't want to go to the funeral home. They don't want to come in and hear the sales pitch. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to even know about the bill. And
Yeah.
so what we've seen seriously over time, just this last 5 years, the cremation rates are extremely high compared to what they were. Only about in the United States, in this market, we're only bearing about 36%.
Oh,
So
okay.
we have these cemeteries that were scheduled to have like a complete, like, we're full, sorry, full, no vacancy signs, but that's kind of come down now,
Mm-hmm.
which is a blessing. The
Yeah.
space that's, used in a cemetery isn't necessarily the healthiest of grounds, and we know what cleanup needs to be done without saying a lot more.
Yeah.
By taking these same spaces and bringing them into virtual space, so I can make the same cemetery, I can
Mhm.
invite people in virtual space. So yeah, you'll find these things on Miss You Much, and you'll start to watch them pop up, because we're scheduled for one a month to have like another one ad and another one ad. So those brands, it just, what it makes me think about people with fear of technology right now is
Mm-hmm.
is is don't be afraid. The thing I hear is, my job is going to be taken over. How about maybe you'll perform better at your job?
Yeah.
I'm just a realist, and I guess
Yeah.
I covered the gray hair yesterday, but the gray hair kind of gives me the chance to, to be bold in my words. I guess we're allowed to get away with this at a certain age.
Yeah.
Try
Yeah.
technology, consider the possibilities. Um, it's not going to take away jobs. It's
Yeah.
going to shift. We're
Mm-hmm.
in death care 5.0.
Mm-hmm.
So the way death care is right now, and the way that that we see it, is it's a perfect twin.
Mm-hmm.
But getting regulators and everybody involved in making these changes, we know um, might be 12 years if I had to use an average number. And until right at this very moment, when we're talking about changing to digital, currencies, and doing things on the blockchain within our government, and just watching the last 30 days, it's like, it's like a purge of everything.
Yeah. It's redoing everything. Yeah.
It's redoing everything. So I'm like, here I am.
Yeah.
Everything I've been training for the, the triathlon of Death Care 5.0, it's here
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. And
Track the bodies from
yeah.
the time they're picked up.
Mm-hmm.
Because at this point, there isn't any reason why you shouldn't know, exactly where your loved one is during every
Mm-hmm.
stage of, once they're picked up from the place that they've passed. And
Yeah.
so that starts the transparency.
Yeah.
Now, if you could just sit without a person talking and look through all of the arrangements and make all of the arrangements
Mm-hmm.
From the privacy, of your own home or, wherever you need to be, and come
Mm-hmm.
in and just solidify those with the planners. Two people are benefited by it: the planner and the person who felt like they actually had some control over what's there. And
Yeah.
so it couldn't come at a better time. You
Yeah. And how easy or difficult was it to transition, like explain this to the team, implement the technologies? Like how what was the process like? Like was it smooth? Was it bumpy?
If I have a perfectly good set of teeth and I decided to go in and have them pulled one by one without anesthetic,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty serious.
Yeah.
Well, you're in real estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, just like erase the heading and
Yeah.
just move it over.
Yeah.
Okay. I had my real estate license. I kept it for like 18 years, but I was in the funeral industry.
Yeah.
Like waiting. I'm like, how long before the Department of Professional Regulation starts to pay attention to this industry where they can make some good money, with the licensing and, and good things. Continuing education is super important.
Mm-hmm.
When I received my crematory operator's license in 2013, so
Mm-hmm.
not that long ago, um, I'm 5 foot tall.
Yeah.
They don't really, kind of look and say, maybe this is a job for, someone that's like more muscular. Like they certainly wouldn't hire me to run a jackhammer,
Mm-hmm.
or, well, maybe, but eventually, that sort of thing takes a toll. My training in the crematory operations was a VHS tape. I don't know. I was told I could have privacy in a room and put the tape in. It was very strange. I'm like, what am I doing here? And I watched this VHS tape, 2013.
Oh wow. When did
Okay,
you
we
get
were advanced. We were way advanced. Here, watch a movie, and and then just go to work and unzip your first body bag, and like, wow. I already was in the industry, so it
Yeah.
wasn't as frightening to me, but trying to hire, in that industry,
Mm-hmm.
I literally had to start bringing people to the worst part first and giving like the whole disclaimer that this
Mm-hmm.
could be disturbing, please don't try this at home, just, all this stuff, and show people like ahead of time what to expect, rather than, train and onboard and have everybody frustrated that, you just can't stomach it. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's really an interesting sort of situation when you realize, yeah, in the book, this all looks easy.
Oh yeah.
My
Yeah.
VHS tape, I'm watching it and I'm like, oh, a person that was probably, much larger than me, just kind of wandering around, pushing things and started pressing buttons. It was nothing like that. I was like, oh, hey, ho, there's technology that came in between then and now
Mm-hmm.
that made it so everything is done with um, automation. There's no more back strain needed. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And
Yeah.
those are the things that, in my life work, which this is, I want to explain to people, to break it down to simple, go in reverse. What is the result that you want at the end? And
Mm-hmm.
now back it out.
Mm-hmm.
So I picture the entire death care funeral industry in virtual space. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just pictured it, a little cartoony, and I started building backwards.
Mm-hmm.
The technology wasn't ready for me yet. There's a thousand developers, on LinkedIn, and I've dealt with quite a few of them, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, I have this, this technology. One project right now that I'm working on, we opened it up and started it. Like I saw a whole scenario, before my eyes, and I'm like, I want that. That
Mm-hmm.
was July of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
We were just in a meeting right now still not
Yeah.
finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I didn't like get ahead of myself and um invite people on the inside of the space,
Mhm.
where they belong in the storefront or on their kiosk or whatever. And I didn't do any of that ahead of time because I'm frustrated, you know. I I think like it is a good idea to check references. I have no problems with the developers. It's just that, like me, they saw something finished in their mind, but they
Yeah.
just were gathering wood, to start the
Yeah.
fire. There wasn't, we weren't there yet.
Yeah, yeah, technology is always interesting, right? We think something is possible and then we start doing it and then we are like, there is so much more to this than we thought there is, right?
Right.
Yeah. So does
So
it
are you seeing a lot of acceptance in virtual spaces in the real estate industry?
not much because it's kind of the opposite, right? Like people want to actually like if it's their home or if it's their office, that's it's like it's the opposite of virtual, right? It's
But that's not what they're feeding us. They're
yeah,
like, everybody loves to shop for. I thought the same thing. I'm like, I'm gonna try that on.
yeah.
I wish they had house sleepovers. I
Yeah,
mean, think about it.
yeah,
I've had like 26 houses. I wish I could have tried a couple of them on for the night,
yeah,
just to, just to really see. Because you don't want to go in the closets and you don't really want to, check. And it's kind of designed to do that, to
yeah,
not check.
yeah,
So you're in the same position as I am with,
yeah.
the technology. You could see where it could be really super helpful,
Yeah,
but people are still going to need people.
yeah, it's
It should
still
never
only
be a
visual,
thing.
right? The AR and the VR is just taking care of the vision, but the feel, the smell, the energy, it's even difficult to like feel the space. Like, is this wide or is this narrow in the AR or the VR world? Because if this is narrow and the depth is reduced, this will feel more wider.
Correct.
We can't actually get a feel unless we are physically there. So I don't know if it will get there, but it's a good first step to do something as a trial, and then actually like go and like maybe see things in person. So it helps to ensure like it's not a complete shocker saying, "Oh, I thought there was a bedroom on the left side, but this bedroom is on the right side." At least
Right.
it will take away that uh, anxiety in a home tour.
I knew there was going to be a little bit of a pushback,
Yeah.
about that. But again, if we're trying to advocate for change, we have to maybe be a part of the change
Mm-hmm.
and taking the time, just as I could say a realtor on from that aspect, of viewing, the properties ahead of time and
Yeah.
kind of getting a feel you know, for what might be there in advance.
Yeah.
Just so you can have a good conversation with somebody calling about a property. So that, there are its benefits.
Yeah. During COVID, there was a lot of virtual tours and the whole 3D imaging of the house came up. But the way they show the 3D imaging, it feels like it's a dollhouse. It's either a toy or it looks like something scary saying, why is everything moving? Like most people just don't connect with it still.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I know that we still, have a long journey. But if tomorrow we had to go back inside, we're much more prepared than we were last time.
Oh yeah, yeah. It helps. It for the right purpose. It's a great tool. So I think once people start accepting it and like it becomes the like just like Zoom, right? Nobody wanted to be in Zoom, but
Oh,
there are situations and scenarios where it is very useful. I would still much rather go and meet somebody in person, but yeah, chances of me flying over to Chicago and like having this meeting would probably not happen. Not as easily, at least. We will have to schedule it. We'll have to plan it months in advance, and uh, so
Amish, next year we're going to be meeting as our avatars. You
Sure.
already know that. You
Yeah.
already know. I'll do it with you next month.
Yeah.
No, it's just, okay, so we spoke of real estate and we'll go back into death care.
Yeah.
People don't want to come try on the grave
Oh, yeah.
or
That's
the mausoleum crypt. They don't
yeah.
want to do
It,
that.
yeah. It
They
could be
don't want
somebody
to
who
know what the
walked-
casket room smells like, because it's
Yeah.
usually next to the embalming room and you get that smell. That smell.
Yeah.
There's something else I want to say about the death care industry in the United States. So if the cremation rate went up so high,
Mm-hmm.
it really isn't necessary to go to the funeral home anymore.
Yeah.
And so guess who's getting that money now? It's the local restaurants and event venues.
Interesting.
Well, there was a luncheon.
Yeah.
In the evolution, there was a 2-day wake.
Mm-hmm.
The third day was the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, when I got in '89, we were just starting to see people drop from two nights to one night
Mm-hmm.
in 1989. And
Yeah.
now they want no nights. They
Hmm.
want no days. They want no nights. Some of them still feel a little shamed and feel like they have to do something at the funeral home because what will the neighbors think? What will people think?
Yeah.
But during the pandemic, because for 30 years I'm in a home and I'm sitting there and I'm talking about getting plans in order, and one of them, husband or wife, would say, I don't want this. Well, no, none of us want this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would rather my family gather and have just a big party. Can't we take
Mm.
this, at that time, maybe $5,000 and set,
Yeah. Yeah. I see that.
well, I was selling funerals.
Yeah.
What was I supposed to say? So
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I absolutely agree with you. But
Mm-hmm.
there's the logistics of it. There are certain things that still, have to be. You need a licensed funeral director for transportation.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a viewing. It's not the law, but they make it mandatory for embalming.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to have a visitation, and I would have to explain all this, and I'd be right. And when it came time for that check, we were like back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not easy.
Of course you can. We have a company called Imagine Memorial,
Mm-hmm.
and bespoke memorial.world. Those
Yeah.
are for people that just want to do bereavement travel.
Mm-hmm.
The wellness travel industry is booming.
Mm-hmm.
It's booming. The bereavement space in there, we figured out a way to train using AI. So if I onboard, we have the Hyatt hotels.
Mm-hmm.
They have rooftop cinemas. So a few years ago, we used drive-in memorials, and we said, look, once people can get back together, can we use your rooftop?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, well, what is it for? Well, these are families who lost their loved one. Oh my gosh. I never made arrangements with somebody who, I'm nervous. So we took
Yeah.
the nervous out of it. Because with the AI is able to help the planner
Mm-hmm.
plan. So I have a family coming in. Look, this family is different. They're not all dressed in black and their
Mm-hmm.
faces covered and grieving. This is a family who said, I want control
Mm-hmm.
over my farewell. I want control over this is my big bang and I
Mm-hmm.
want to change it. And so they're not coming in like that. So that built the confidence in our
Mm-hmm.
planners. And the AI will help, with just a few questions. What was dad most involved in? Well, dad, I mean, he spent his time golfing. So in the industry of the funeral industry, probably around 20 years ago, we started to have people bringing in all these, smelly golf shoes and things, and we'd put them all around the casket. And they would
Mm-hmm.
bring their house over to the funeral home with all of grandpa's things and, so snap, that's a virtual space,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
right?
amazing.
The
And I,
gathering space, that's a virtual space. We have the gospel verse, which is churches. That's
Mhm,
a virtual space. So
mhm,
I just kind of took things and I'm like, okay, this one goes here, this one goes here, this one goes here. And over, since the beginning of the pandemic,
mhm.
it's just been try, 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 try. So
Yeah.
for people coming into, these crossroads of what to do with their life, just be bold.
Mhm,
Look around you. I mean, this is it. This is
mhm.
your life.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
bold in your decisions. If you see it, sometimes you just have to have tunnel vision. And,
Mhm,
all this, well, maybe this, it's always loud for me, but I don't need to hear necessarily the overview of what everybody's thinking when I get into my creative space. I
Yeah.
want to be in silence. I want to be considering, and I know this is still, a few years out,
Mhm,
but in the sense of churches, getting the young people to come back and be a part of the
mhm.
church, that building space is so important,
Yeah.
because we're able to, bring people back in.
Mhm,
And in regards to your memorial space, we have backyard partings, that's for people and their pets.
mhm.
And so within that space, this is just an opportunity to get the ones who are already in the space, kind of helping and moving it along. So my
Mhm,
children are in their 30s, and at this point, they may even be the ones helping me. I'm thankful to still have my mom. But maybe, if I wasn't in the industry and something were to happen and my mom passed away, it's probably the 30-year-olds who are going to grab their cell phone and they're going to start. And how are they going to buy? Because they're like,
Yeah.
if they call the funeral home says, oh yeah, we have a model like that on the lot right now.
Mhm.
It's like a car dealer when you call
Yeah.
in. Yeah, but you need to come in and see it. hmm Well, we're at the hospital right now. Grandma isn't doing very well. Oh, then hurry. You know,
Yeah.
hurry up. But
Yeah.
I can tell you, my heart's been broken several times
Mhm,
because who do I think I am to make a family leave their loved one, right?
Yeah.
Leave the hospital, leave the home hospice, leave the space so you could come in and hurry up, hurry up, hurry up.
Mhm.
Hurry. Why is it
Yeah.
so rushed? Why is it? Because before you can blink, think, or have any other action, they've got your whole insurance policy.
Mhm,
They've got your whole, that you're talking about a whole college tuition.
mhm.
For families, I feel like the way the government is disrupted right now I'm not being, oh, it's okay if it's not ready. I'm kicking doors down because
Mhm,
I'm like, this is that time. 40 years ago when the FTC made a funeral transparency act,
mhm.
okay, call it 40 years ago, and we're
Mhm.
still not following those guidelines. There's
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like the minute we take somebody's loved one into space, we should have tracking. They could watch
Mhm,
it on their phone to see it went from here to here.
mhm.
The south suburbs of Chicago, just about a week ago, another 100 bodies that are all over the grounds of a crematory that did not get cremated.
Hmm.
I, I, I don't even,
Yeah.
you could tell I'm very upset and, distraught about this because how is this still happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this happens, I'm sorry to say, every month.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
You'll find a some sort of so being transparent, being bold, getting into, your passions
Mm-hmm.
and using these tools within technology will be, it will be life-changing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, if you want to make yourself an asset in the workplace,
Mm-hmm.
you need to keep being
Yeah.
up to date. You
Yeah.
need not, oh, my job's going to be replaced. Like,
Yeah.
oh, my work is going to be better.
Yeah.
Look right at your employer
Yeah.
and say, I'm embracing these changes.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about these changes
Yeah.
because I want to perform
Mm-hmm.
my best work.
Mm-hmm.
And with a hug of AI around you, you at least could have a sounding board
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
be able to do a better job.
Yeah, people haven't stopped walking because there are
Oh,
cars. Like
this is
people
this
walk
is
more.
5.0.
Yeah.
We're in the fifth industrial revolution.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. So are you currently only working within Chicago, or like are you able to like go
oh
into
no, it's global.
it's global now? Wow.
It's global. We have almost 40 countries that visited bereavemently.ai.
Oh, wow.
Don't even ask me how. I have no idea. I
I
didn't,
think it
we
was the
didn't,
need.
we didn't advertise it. We
It
didn't.
was just identifying the,
Friends.
providing the solution and doing it correctly.
Well, and there's a QR code we sent into LA
Mm-hmm.
for free premium service. We offered up to 100,000 premium services
Okay.
for LA wildfires.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'll be sure to share that QR
Yeah.
code with you.
Yeah, definitely.
It's why not? I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's
Uh,
it's the free.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
free.
Yeah. And thanks for doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, what apart from that, like, what are some of the other trends that you are seeing? Like, I think like it almost feels like you've already implemented the vision you had, but I'm sure there is more that you would
There's
like to
more.
do. So,
Right. That needs to just come out. It
yeah,
just needs to come out. But it's really, I'm not gonna complicate it.
yeah,
I'm just considering what it is to come
hmm,
on and to not have to leave home.
yeah,
This is how the whole evolution of death and how it was done.
hmm,
Before the Civil War, before embalming fluid, became something that we don't want to use embalming fluid.
hmm,
Uh,
yeah,
I have neuropathy over 50% of my body.
hmm,
I can't say for sure, but as I mentioned, I was working in heavy equipment.
hmm,
Um, I believe there's, not enough information out there, even for the professionals. We
hmm,
shouldn't be cremating people that were um, embalmed. We
hmm,
shouldn't be cremating people that had chemotherapy.
hmm,
I mean, you're not even supposed to pee in a toilet with this person that's getting chemotherapy
yeah,
in your house.
hmm,
Yeah, so imagine all of a sudden, at this young age of, 55, why is my body deteriorating? So we're finding out that people in the industry also, there's both sides, and I see a solution to both sides.
hmm,
Um, when your loved one was sick during the pandemic, they
hmm,
were isolated from family at the hospital, in nursing homes. I unfortunately had my aunt in a nursing home. She lost her Bible and her glasses during one of the moves, and they wouldn't let me even bring in a Bible and glasses to her.
oh yeah, yeah.
I
That
remember, I mean,
happened
I'm
to so
watching the
many
Jimmy
experiences.
John's delivery guy walk right into the nursing home,
Yeah,
and bringing in things from the outside. I'm like, please,
yeah,
I know she's really scared right now and she just wants to look at her Bible.
hmm,
And no, I would go there. I mean, I would go there on different shifts, you
yeah,
not changed into a different disguise or anything, but I'd be like, oh, hi, like they had like a walk-up window, just a window in an office open, and they wouldn't let anybody through the front door. Hi,
yeah,
I was just wondering if I could bring this in to my aunt. I know when she left the hospital, be like, no. And one day I came back and then the same lady's here and she says, I know that you've been coming here over and over. And if you come back here, I'm going to call the police.
Yeah, it's
What?
crazy.
So our loved ones, if we could keep them at home and be surrounded, with medical, everything's changing.
Yeah.
Medical visits at home, we see it all coming. And I
Mhm.
just am a visionary. I see things just a little bit ahead of time. And
Mhm.
I want to embrace it and be a part of it. I'm completely bootstrapped.
Mhm.
I've done this for years with all of my own money. And just, because before I would ever ask anybody to get involved, now we have investors, at our doorstep. And I'm not really
Yeah.
I'm not really ready for that,
Yeah. And,
you
and
know?
there will be a stage when like you're like, I don't even need the money, right? Like I'm able to do what I need to do.
Yeah, I have a good life.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable. I have my children. I raised an extra child.
Mhm.
Everybody's starting to produce, babies for me to play with. And, I'm quite happy,
Yeah.
with my life. So money isn't all that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
And making these changes, before I have any changes in my health, that's important to me. But I
Hmm.
walk around the streets empowering people all the time to just be hopeful of, your ideas and don't let anybody tell you any different.
That's
You know,
that's very, very powerful. Thanks. Yeah, that's
you're
amazing.
welcome. Amish, I'm so glad that you had me here today.
Yeah, thanks for that. And like before we conclude, like are there any other final thoughts that you would like to share with the audience? And in addition to that, like what's the best way for somebody to reach you?
They can reach me at Christine, Christine, at
Hmm.
missyoumuch.com,
Hmm.
or you can go to bereavemently.ai, and there's another way to get in touch with me there.
Hmm.
Our phone number is 708 area code in US 215-1190. If you have any questions or, another business out there, that's just interested in, where this is going. There's always free space. Like I said, there's about 400 free slots that I have given to businesses to do what you're doing. I
Hmm.
just want other businesses to get exposure, and it's been working out just fine for the past 5 years. Um, Exchanging, bartering, all those things are really important to keep going, and just be kind, just be
Yeah,
kind to people. And if you
that's
can't be kind, give them bereavemently.ai so they have someone nice to talk to.
hey, thanks, Christine. That is a very very generous offer. I don't know how you managed to keep in touch with so many people, but I'm really glad you are able to like open up your heart, open up your resources to welcome others, and like reach out to you and share your time. And
Same, you doing the same thing.
yeah,
Yeah, doing the same thing. If you want to be a part of the change, just do it. Just be that person that, skips an hour to yourself or whatever here and there for a cause that's important to mankind.
yeah, and it's one of the I think there's like two things that are for certain, right? Everyone that's around always passes away, so that's
Oh,
one of
you mean death and taxes?
I think taxes. I think we could do something about that, but how do, I don't think there's any way to get away from death.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
But it can be handled different.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to come back and tell you something and, more in a few months,
Sure.
but I don't really feel like that should be a burden of
Hmm.
regular families.
Yeah.
Not at 20,000,
Yeah.
they say, oh, the average funeral is 10,000. You forgot you have to buy a plot and a
Hmm.
headstone and a burial vault, and it's
Yeah.
$5,000 and up to dig a grave here
Yeah.
in Chicago.
Yeah.
I would do it for a lot less if my back didn't hurt all the time.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
$5,000 for what?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and it's not like it's optional, right? Like, what is the alternative? like obviously, like you would now have something that you're providing, but prior to that, like what was the option? Nothing. There was like there was
No.
inelastic demand for it.
Right. It was like paper or plastic. It was like cremated or buried.
Yeah.
Now you can be in a mushroom pod. You can, recompost it into, I mean, it's just endless
Hmm.
of the choices, but maybe that was intentional.
Hmm.
Maybe those choices were available.
Oh yeah.
The natural decisions that should have been
Yeah.
made a long time ago. I
Hmm.
feel like somebody just needs to pull the whole tablecloth off
Yeah.
and let the government step in because it's serious.
Yeah.
100 another 100 people
Hmm.
just here.
Yeah.
There's the United States. I laugh of, oh, the United States, this power. And I look at a globe. I'm still, childlike in my mind. And I'm like, the United
Yeah.
States, it's so cute. It's so little.
Yeah.
But, this is one place. What's going on everywhere else?
Yeah. And
I want to hope. Well, I do know the statistics, but I just want to hope that, it's just like rottenness. There's just a couple bad apples we need to get out of the cart because it's spoiling it. In
yeah.
the funeral industry, every time something goes wrong and they want to hide it, they're like, this person did this and it gave all of us a black eye.
Hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking about 100 people, and then another, what, 30 times 50 other people that
Yeah.
are affected by each one of those misplaced loved ones.
Yeah.
We have to go back, rip the wound open again, and all this scandal and all this, where's the funeral money, we're really going? Why aren't the cemeteries maintained? I don't, I walk around and I think I have a shield around me that the things I say won't make other people, a little upset, but I don't even have to speak. All I have to do is go into one of my virtual rooms and put up the newspaper ads,
Hmm.
articles about these mishandlings
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to be the one to promote these other
Hmm.
ideas of what people can do. So
Hmm.
you want to take a trip, you know, would you like your loved one to be, in a natural
Hmm.
decomposed? Do you want them to be, this way, this way, this way? Okay, now that we've taken care of that, now let's coordinate people and how I see the blockchain and how I see all of that going is that loved one, like we did for drive-in memorials. Do you know those were never paid by one person? It was
Hmm.
all ticketed.
Oh,
So
interesting.
everybody came in. We took the total cost of the service,
Hmm.
which was about $2,000, not,
Hmm.
nothing huge. And the family the immediate family member paid zero.
Hmm. Yeah.
Zero.
You're already going through so
Even because
much.
those were families mostly that just really had a cremation. Even the cremation was covered off of the ticketing.
Hmm.
So if we were doing things decentralized blockchain, we were all getting people together, then, it's literally, I picture in like a virtual hat going around the room, pass the hat,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Collect the dollars, pass the hat.
Yeah.
Funeral financing,
Hmm.
come on. 3 months down the road, 26 months down the road, you're still opening up an email or a piece of mail, paying for a funeral bill because you overspent,
Hmm.
because you weren't thinking. That's why it happened so fast.
Yeah.
Why don't we have time to think? Because by the time you really think, you're not going to spend all that money.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And
Yeah.
and so could this be bad for the funeral industry? No.
Hmm.
No, because that's the part that took the longest.
Hmm.
Every single job that could be misplaced, we had to come up with a solution of the new position for that
Hmm.
person. That was the hardest part,
Yeah.
to not show how we just abolished the whole industry, how we
Hmm.
took the moving parts and have the government and those continuing education, training programs, training people for this new protocol, which should just be really simple. If you start tracking from the day, the day that we make that call is tracked, you see the time your loved one was picked up, where they went to. In the meantime, you can view all of your options on the internet, all the pricing on the internet. You could make your decisions, and then you come and meet with the funeral director. And that funeral director is not going to be with that family for 6 or 7 hours. When they say come down, be in and out of here in 45 minutes, never does that happen. You're talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of running people around and, with all this decisions and paperwork and, going back around and trying one more time to upsell, bringing the manager through a room and putting people through all of that. And when the dust finally settles, about 2 weeks after the services, all of a sudden the phone starts ringing. And the people, they have a ton of questions.
Yeah.
They basically want to undo what they did and erase it and start over again. And so, I'm going to keep being disruptive. And I hope other people, just kind of embrace the idea of being in charge of one of the largest expenses. So there's a house, car. So I started selling cars because I wanted one. I was only 17 years old. At 19, I didn't want to buy a grave, but I ended up in the funeral industry. It says recession-proof industry seeks compassionate person to earn above average income.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was a candy striper at the hospital, and they taught me, General Motors taught me how to sell things. So here I am. And then when I turned 21, I got my real estate license because, 91. There was still not a lot of real estate signs out there, and so I kept hearing, well, you just missed a really nice house that was on the market. And I took myself to the, city college and I got my real estate license.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is not going to happen. I don't want it. And it used to come out of like a fax machine, this little machine, and the listings would be on there.
Yeah.
A lot of that paper, we used every day. But I've always been inquisitive like that. And I feel like the biggest expenses you'll have in life, this falls under one of those categories, and to be prepared.
Yeah.
This one wrong move for a lady who's lost her loved one and they live in a house could change the fact that within 12 to 24 months, she can't even keep her house because her funeral.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Nobody wants to say it, but I don't mind saying it.
And you have actually experienced it, and that's why you created the full solution of like.
And there's a whole real estate sector, off of this, that you need to understand that you're part of those decisions. I know you know that because when somebody's downsizing, when somebody so it even real estate ties into death care. I see all the that's completely connected. We have a realtor that is, I have him like as a sponsor. He might be in friendoflife.co in that company. That's a caregiver site. And who caregivers are, kids, and kids are going to have to make decisions about selling mom and dad's house. And that's where a realtor, kicks in. So you belong in the space, and the florist belongs in the space, and everybody who's doing their things can go in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So thanks for joining today. I will reach out to you again, to know a little bit more, and I think we should have one more session because there is just so much to discuss.
Yeah, maybe we could share a screen next time, or it can just be in a virtual space.
And experience it in what it feels like.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks.
All
Thanks,
right.
Christine.
Thanks, Amish.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.